Welcome, Divine Light Activators. Welcome to Season 3 of Own Your Divine Light Show. I am Janet Miller, the Divine Light Activator, and I am so happy to have you here during this pivotal time in humanity's expansion. This is a momentous time, something none of us have experienced before, and I feel it's so important to share our experiences. And we are in the shift of ages. We are learning about ourselves, and it is a gift. If you are healthy, it's a gift for you. If you're recovering or you have lost someone, I send my heartfelt blessings to you. And what will be the new normal right now? What are we stepping into? I'm really excited today to welcome our guest, Louise Matson. Louise is an intuitive conscious channel, conduit for energy healing, best-selling author, way shower, and spiritual mentor and guide. Louise channels source energy, sharing the messages through her Source Speaks blog posts, channeling healing journeys, and healing work. Her work includes one-to-one sessions with clients, assisting them on their journeys of empowerment and spiritual growth, group work, and creating and hosting her Mundane to Magical show, which is awesome, and it's in a live show. So I highly recommend you guys tune in and listen to Louise's amazing connections with the people she has. She has some really good people on, and assisting people all over the world to come together as you. And we are a high vibrational community that she's supporting through their ascension process. So Louise's sole purpose and mission is to guide and assist people along their path from disempowerment to standing in sovereignty and radiating their light out into the world. So thank you, Louise. And I'm so honored to have you here today. And, you know, you can say hello because I know I'm talking a lot.
Hello.
Hi, Louise. It's so great. And Louise and I know each other from a while back. So it's so great to see us both at these different levels in our lives where we've just kept going. We didn't give up, and we're just like pushing and going and getting to where our hearts are truly where we want them to be now. Isn't that true?
Yeah, absolutely. Although I wouldn't say pushing.
It's not pushing anymore. It's probably, well, I had to keep pushing myself, knowing that I wanted to stop for a while. I was like in so much self-doubt. Because of that, I had to keep saying, don't give up, keep going. You've come this far, don't give up. So for you, how did you, get to here? Now, what made you get to where you are? What was your starting point?
Well, I suppose my starting point was that I actually came in to incarnation knowing who we are as divine sovereign beings, and knowing that we're all connected and being able to channel and heal. And as a very small child, I locked it all away because I was born into a very conventional family. My dad was in the Air Force, the UK Air Force. Very, very conventional. And so with me being as I was, talking to trees, talking to dragons and things like that, it didn't go down very well. And I was threatened with being locked up if I continued. And so I learned very, very early on to shut it down just to fit in, which I think is what most people do to some extent, to be honest. And so for the majority of my life, I literally lived what others wanted me to be. I was dressing as they wanted me to dress. I was talking as they wanted me to talk. But I would actually use my skills of intuition to tune into what they wanted, to give them what they wanted, which was only a realization that I had a bit further down the line that that's what I was actually doing, because I realized it's actually impossible to lock all your gifts away because they just come through anyway. We kid ourselves that's what we're doing, and that we're not channeling, but we are. But we're just learning to adapt and to actually filter what is coming through so that we actually fit in and don't stand out as odd. So my life kind of traveled along this path with spirit constantly nudging me, providing me with opportunities to be myself fully. And I would take some of them and then have a freak out because I would have experienced something, amazing, mind-blowing, and that was quite obviously not going to fit into mainstream life. So I would just shut everything down again. And that went on throughout my life. Then in 1996, I had an accident. I fell down the stairs, and I was temporarily paralyzed. And it was a blessing. It was one of my big awakening moments, reawakening moments, where kind of spirit nudged me down the stairs. I was tetraplegic, so I was paralyzed from the neck down, and it gave me that space. It gave me that space to do the inner work, to really look and reflect on my life, and to start the process of releasing that which wasn't serving me and stepping more into my truth. Now, I didn't go all the way at that point. I was still very much caught up with the soul contracts with my parents. And so again, I trained in healing modalities that were becoming more acceptable, like Reiki, reflexology, very science-based. I did crystal healing, which was a bit too woo-woo for the mainstream at that time. That was back in early 2000s. And then I went into conventional healing, which was, I trained as an occupational therapist and worked my way through our health system until I was a senior manager in the NHS. And I had a very well-paid job, status, money, everything that you would think you would want. And then my mum and dad died over the space of 2 years, and I plummeted into the biggest dark night of the soul ever, because suddenly the two people who I had locked all of my truth away for, who I had denied my true powers and gifts for, were no longer there. And there was no reason for me to be doing that anymore. And it was this massive accelerated spiritual roller coaster ride of coming back into realignment with my truth that lasted the last 4 or 5 years, and is where I am now, because in that journey I fully committed to myself, to stand in my sovereignty, to fully reclaim my power, and I've been working on that ever since, and that has led me to giving up my job. I just left or walked away from my senior management corporate career, and I stepped into full-time self-employment, and then I got given through spirit, 4 a.m. mundane to magical, didn't have a clue what it was. Committed to it so that I could go back to sleep, and then over the next few months realized what that was becoming. Had a few freak out moments because I'd never done anything like that. It was completely out my comfort zone, and yeah, just gradually allowing myself to channel, allowing myself to create my Facebook page, my website, and until here I am.
I know. And the things you've created are absolutely amazing. Your website's beautiful. And all the ways you put the modalities that you offer are really, really special. It's really nicely done. It's a beautiful website. I will say that. And you did that yourself, which that's really, it's not an easy thing. It takes a lot of, persistence and consistency, and stick to it. Do it, get it done. Yeah.
It takes a lot of courage. It does take
a
lot
lot.
of
And it does. Yes, I know. I had a website out, like a really small one, because my first name was Transcendent Healing. That was the name I was given. And I put it out, but I did not want to talk about me. I didn't know how to do it like you. I didn't know how to do it. My parents, they passed both in 2012, which was so interesting. I was so shocked they made it to 2012 because I didn't think they'd ever make it that long. I was like, these people are here forever. And, I had a tough relationship with mine. And I'm thinking, wow, they have to have, there's a reason they're here. Who are they here for? Well, obviously it was partly for me, it's part of the contract. And I found out a whole lot of why our lives were like they were, because I was out of the house at 19 and I just knew that I could not be there anymore. I couldn't save the family from their own things. I had to get out and I had to take care of me. I saved me. And even though I had to go down my roads, and I did, like you went down different roads, and I see that on your website. You had quite a story, and the part of you falling down the stairs and being tetraplegic, that was incredible. I was like, whoa. So how long did it take you to come back from that?
Well, thankfully, I was only fully paralyzed for a week. But the then recovery process and the impact that had lasted for years and years.
Really?
I had to wear an emergency collar for a year.
Uh,
Well, my neck was strong enough to hold my head up and things like that. So yeah, I mean, but this is the thing. These episodes, these events, these situations quite often occur like that, for light workers, especially when we have a tragic, what's considered
yes,
a
yes. Oh,
tragic
yeah.
event. But it's only because we've been ignoring the very, very quiet messages
Oh, yes.
all the way through, and it kind of takes something big to kind of
Mhm.
really push us to take that
See,
leap of faith.
you use that word.
Yeah, yeah. Because when we're so deeply either asleep to who we are or denying who we are, whatever the story is, it does take something to push us.
Oh,
Quite
yeah.
often, there are very few people that kind of go, yeah, I'm really up for this, and kind of go all in immediately, because we are fearful of what we don't know on the other
Absolutely.
side.
Hmm.
We may have had a bad experience either in this life or a past life that still has that kind of energetic residue that we are still feeling, and we're scared of taking those steps and,
Oh,
and
yeah.
coming out, as a light worker, as a healer, as a channel, whatever it is. So the initial one usually does take a push.
Yeah, and I know for me, I had 2 knee replacements. So that was mine not willing to move forward in life. And I just
Yeah.
knew that. I knew it, but I didn't totally understand it at the time. I'm like, well, how can this be? I had been in healing school already. How could I have this happening to me right now? Was that when it happened? Yes, yes, it was after healing school. So I'm like, how could I be going through this when now I'm an energy worker, I'm a light worker, I'm doing all this stuff, and how could that possibly happen? Well, it does, because you're still not stepping into the fullness of who you're meant to be. And
Absolutely.
because the fear, there was a lot of fear, a lot of doubt. And I knew I had a lot of, past lives that were still coming through with different readings. I'm like, oh, no wonder I don't want to speak. You're hung or your throat sliced. I'm like, son of a gun, who wants to go through that again? Because
Yeah.
all these memories are in our cells, as you say, it's all cellular memory, and we don't realize how much the subconscious is buried in our underneath all this consciousness that we think we have, but there's so much more underneath it. We're like the tip of the iceberg, and there's all the rest underneath it. It's huge.
Absolutely. And really that's what's driving the show.
Yeah, it's
It's
true.
everything that we are currently unconscious to that's actually in
Mhm.
control. And it's only when you come up against something that kind of nudges you in a different direction, stretches you outside of your comfort zone, that you actually then realize all of this stuff that's been completely unconscious beforehand, because then it's going to rear its head, because
Yes.
it's going to do everything possible to keep you where you are, to keep you in your comfort zone. And so that's where the courage comes in. That's where the work to actually release yourself from the attachment to all the emotional baggage, the mental baggage, and everything else in between comes in, so that you energetically have enough oomph behind you to actually take that step, or stretch that comfort zone, whatever it is.
Yeah, I just started a membership, and this month was all on understanding your shadow.
Yeah.
And we talked all about that, and that's exactly what was coming out. Things, we talked about the core. There's a core origin of everything in our life, and we've got to get to our core, because that core is spreading out all these little sprouts all over the place, and they're masking the core for the core, so it stays hidden and protected. But if we can really, like, that's what I think this gift of this time is for us, that we get this quiet, this stillness, and
Yeah.
all that's going on to help us to look at that stuff. So it was really, I thought it was a great 3 sessions. I did 3 sessions a month. This is my second month. So it's kind of exciting, and it's free, everybody. If you want to join Divine Light Accelerator on Facebook for now till end of July. But I shouldn't be pumping me. I should be doing you, Louise, because so much is going on in the world right now, just because we're talking about that situation. I mean, I think it's a gift in so many ways, like I said in my intro. If we look at it from the higher view, I mean, of course, if you lost someone, it's difficult, but there's so much for us to look at as gifts. So you say, look at our current reality. What do you think is our reality in alignment with our desires of our soul right now? How are you looking at that? How do you see that?
Well, I mean, it's different for everybody. Everybody's on their own individual journey, and nobody's journey is going to be exactly the same. But we've been given what I do see and what I've been shown is that we've each got our individual timeline. And like I say, you know, we have free will. So we make individual choices along that timeline. And, you know, most of the time we're heading in a direction, but we can deviate off and things like that. We can, you know, make a decision to go against what the universe is giving us the opportunity to take a step towards. And ultimately there will come a point in our lifetime where the universe kind of just picks you up and go, you're meant to be here right now. And that was them pushing me down the stairs. That was that to me. You know, it's that, okay, my life is going so far off path and I'm not looking like I'm going to make a change, and I need to be at this point in time, and therefore, boom, the universe steps in and does something. And that's usually why it's a major thing that happens when you deviated that far off. But on a global perspective, on the wider perspective, collectively, again, you know, we all have free will choice, and so everybody's experience of this current situation is going to be different and individual, but the universe has kind of gone, okay, time shift, timeline shift for everybody. You know, this is a choice point. This is a choice point for everybody. You know, where are we going to go from here? And everybody's experience of this current situation has been different. But it has been that absolutely golden opportunity to really stop and look, you know, just like my tetraplegia was, I had a whole year where I couldn't do anything. You know, I couldn't go about my daily normal distractions. And so it gave me that space. It took my job away. It took everything that I had away to go, okay, I need to look at this. I need to look at this, and how am I feeling about it? You know, is my life currently filling me with joy? No, it wasn't. I was miserable. I was miserable in so many ways. And that is exactly what this golden opportunity has given us all. You know, whether we agree with it, whether we, you know, go down the different theories about the agendas behind it, it doesn't really matter. In a way, it's irrelevant. The universe has given us this pause point for us to actually have a look and take a breath, to actually breathe deeply into our bellies and look at our lives and go, okay, where am I? With radical honesty. I mean, you have to kind of do this work with real honesty for yourself. Otherwise, you're just papering over the cracks. Where am I? And is my life filling me with joy? Do I actually want to go back to normal? You know, the normal that we had. And the other thing for me is that, you know, we have this belief system about what's possible. You know, we do. We have a belief system about what's possible, but it's based on what our ego knows and what it's learned. And so we've all got this expectation and understanding of what is possible as being this. You know, this is my life. This is the way it is. It's the way it is, and it's not going to change. And what this experience has done is really opened our eyes to what is actually possible. You know, how many summits have we had as governments coming together to decide upon environmental change, you know, global warming summit, this, that, and the other summit. And they've all made these agreements that by 2040 or by 2020, we'll have reduced blah, blah, blah by this, and, you know, to affect a positive change. But then they spend the rest of their time trying to get out of the agreements that they've made because they don't believe it's actually possible, that people won't actually change. And yet this opportunity, what we've been in it, how many months now? 2-3 months?
January. Well, it started in January, really.
Yeah.
Effectively, that the first little inklings of what was going on in China was January. Actually, January was November, but no one heard about it much. I think the United States became aware in January.
So the lockdown in the UK started in March.
Yeah, we did too. The lockdown was March, but the actual talk about the whole situation started.
But the actual lockdown and that's kind of like, you know, that pause point happened around April, March. For some countries, they did it a bit earlier. So really, we've been doing this for like 2 or 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
And we have managed to see massive change. You look out the window, the level of air pollution has decreased so drastically that you can physically see it on a photograph. Whether you take that photograph in Paris, San Francisco, Tokyo, it doesn't matter. You can see the difference in air quality. You can see the quality of the water. Animals, creatures are coming back to places where they haven't been seen for generations. And it's kind of like the universe going, here, look, this is actually possible. You know, what you believe to be possible was like this, but actually anything is possible if we put our hearts, minds, and energy to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I see this wider experience being. And yeah, you know, not everybody is going to be on that spiritual awakening journey, and they're not all going to want to do the work. There's going to be some people who can't wait for McDonald's to open up and, you know, go back to whatever it was, you know, the hectic life of making money and, you know, that being the source of all joy. But then, you know, there's going to be others that are actually thinking and feeling it could actually be different. We could actually have a different world. Not just I could have a different life, but we could have collectively a different world. And there's going to be people all the way along that spectrum. And unfortunately, you know, I mean, this could have happened by a catastrophic event, you know, something like the dinosaurs. It could have been that, but it wasn't. It isn't. And yes, there have been many deaths, but I think the other beautiful thing about this whole experience is death has been the white elephant in the room. You know, shadow work is shadow work. It's deemed as a negative. And so the other thing for me is that we're being, in a way, asked to look at what is death? What does it mean to us? You know, because we ultimately go through deaths every minute. Every time you breathe in and out, that's a death of that breath. That's a death of that moment. You know, when you transition from childhood to adolescence to adulthood, those are different deaths. If you change job or you lose a relationship, these are all deaths. It's the death rebirth cycle. That is what being in flow is. And it's just a transition. It's a change from one state to the next. But because we've got so much of our identity, of our belief of who we are stored into this material body, this material world, we see death as a really traumatic and negative thing. And so I think as the other thing is, it's kind of like allowing people to really have a greater awareness of themselves, their values, what they value in life, but also the wider understanding of the whole death rebirth cycle of nature, of life itself. You know, and when you come into that understanding of yourself as an eternal soul, the transition of this physical state, it's one of many, many lifetimes that we've had. There's nothing to fear in death.
Yeah,
so
and that's a great point. Yeah.
Sorry.
What did you just say? I'm sorry. Say that
It's
again.
just clearing that fear out.
Yes. And I was listening to a couple of women talk yesterday, and you know them, Magenta Pixie and Patty Court. And oh my goodness, they talked about the biggest problem with this whole situation is the fear of death.
Yeah.
And really, you're hitting it right on the head there. And I said, you know, that's absolutely the truth. And what are people the most afraid of? They're most afraid of dying. And I mean, of course, it's a normal fear, but yet a lot of people don't believe there's anything else on the other side. They really believe there's nothing there. And they were talking about, like, a relative of theirs was saying, well, how come, you know, what do you believe is happening when you die? Nothing. He goes, what do you mean nothing? That's the end. And she goes, well, do you think that because of all the things you've gone through in this life and all the learnings and truths you've brought together, that there's nothing to go forward with? And he said, no. And that's interesting to hear, because we understand, you know, because you're in spiritual work, the more we get into this work, the more you open to all these new, it's not even new, it's truth of what we really are. And we are getting to understand, and that's, like you say, that's the gift of right now, to see this, to look at the bigger picture, value what you're doing right now, and to say, am I happy? Because we're meant to be happy in these lives. We're meant to be joyful. We're meant to be, you know, and I know people go, okay, that sounds sort of airy fairy. Well, maybe it does, but it isn't. It's the truth. What's the truth is, if you're not happy, your life doesn't go and flow. So it doesn't matter if you're earning $1 million or not $1 million. Even those millionaires are not happy, because they don't even know what's going on. Some of them that aren't in the light, if they're on, you know, whatever side they're on there, if there's a side, and you know, that they're not necessarily happy. They're just as confused as we are. You know, the rest of us that don't make any money are not making that kind of money. You know what I mean? But it's amazing. So great points, really great points, and really great understanding of death and the way that we're essences, right? We're human essences having a spirit, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
those words sound, and I love those words because they make it the truth of what we're going through, because we keep going, we evolve. We're parts of source, right? We're going and we're evolving, and we're constantly expanding the knowledge of source and our own, moving into the mastery of who we're meant to be, or becoming one with the source again is what we're meant to be. It's that could be a master, you could be whatever it meant you want to call it. But
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just to put it in the perspective of those people who are not knowledgeable, they've not really tested the water on asking themselves, who are they? You know, we're all going to start from that platform of the ego, which is I am a mother, a daughter, a sister, a brother, you know, I'm a work colleague, I am the manager of this, or, you know, what they're going to be doing it through their roles, their physical body. You know, I'm a female, I'm blonde, I'm this, you know. And then what I often say to people is, but have you ever experienced it when you've been with a friend and you know deep within yourself that there is something that is making your friend unhappy, and yet everything they're saying, the way they're behaving, everything that they're trying to portray is the complete opposite, that I'm fine, everything's good in my life.
yes.
But you can feel it. You can literally feel the sadness or the grief or whatever it is emanating from them. You know, I mean, or you've entered a room after an argument and there's a weird atmosphere in the room. And the people have gone, but the atmosphere remains. So it's like, you know, if you only believe that this is you, then how is that? How is that possible that you can sense when somebody is unhappy when they're pretending to be happy, or that you can be down and you join with a group of friends who are really happy and excited and it lifts your mood? You know, how is that possible if there's not more to you than just your physical form? And it's really just allowing yourself that space, that time to actually come into right relationship with yourself, to take the time to get to know who you are. And that for me was my dark night of the soul, realizing that I had no idea who I was. I knew who I'd been playing.
Yeah.
I'd been playing all these roles, wearing all these masks to fit in with all these different people, which actually was utterly exhausting.
Yeah.
And I'd burned myself out because I'd not been who I truly am. I'd not been expressing my true emotions. I'd not been saying what I truly wanted to say. I'd not been living the life that I really came here to live, that, you know, filled me with joy. And it crushed me for a short time because I had to ask all these questions of myself. Well, who actually am I? You know, I couldn't even tell you at the time what my favorite color was because I'd never even bothered to ask myself
Wow.
what I liked.
Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it, that we can get to that level of, yeah, we don't even know ourselves at all. We really don't.
Yeah.
We just play the facades. Yeah, we play them, put
And
the
when,
masks on.
and when you mix that with this really limited idea of what's possible that we all had to some extent before this lockdown, you don't believe it's even possible to change. You don't believe it's possible to have a job that makes you happy, that also gives you enough money to have the life that makes you happy, to be in a relationship that makes you fully happy, where you're fully accepted and you fully accept the other, you know, because you're led to believe that this is all that's possible, this little bit that you've managed to carve out for now. And you miss all of this that's also possible because it doesn't come into your frame of reference to even know it's there.
Yeah, yeah. Those are the limiting beliefs. We always put that label on the limiting beliefs. So if people are going, what is she talking about? Those are your limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Because, and that's so beautiful the way you express it, because, yeah, you know, I'm thinking as you're doing it, I'm thinking about myself saying, what did you do? Oh, I wore plenty of masks. I was hiding forever. I wanted to be invisible. I didn't want, it wasn't safe to come out. Like, I think we have a lot in common in some of the things we've been through, you know, for the way we went through emotional things. I wanted to be invisible, but then I was told, no, it's time to come out. It's your time. Get out, go do it. And I knew I tried to hide for 2 years. I really did. And I knew that I wasn't happy. I'm like, this is so boring. This is not living what I'm doing. This is like, what is this? I can't live like this. So then I met our mentor, and she opened the doors for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I'm back in. This is where I want to be. This is where I'm meant to be. And now everything has shifted again in such big ways. And so we got to take the leap. We got to take the chance. And right now we're giving it. This is our chance right now. Everybody, it's your chance to look at yourself, look at what's going on in your life. Are you happy with what your life, like Louise is saying? So manifestation is happening very quickly right now. I mean, ridiculously quickly. And we must be careful what we ask for. It's so important to be conscious of our thoughts, our actions, and wishing. So how do you work with people with this? What's your take on all that?
Well, I actually did I channeled 4 Simple Steps to Manifesting masterclass.
Okay.
I put that out for free the other week. And yeah, I mean, it is absolutely essential that we start off with understand who we are, understand ourselves as powerful creator beings.
Very.
Because we are actually creating our reality in each moment, whether we are conscious of that or not. It's irrelevant. With every thought, emotion, and every action, and with the literal energy that you're radiating from your field, you're creating the reality that you're seeing before you. So if there's something that's in your reality, in your external life, that is triggering you, that you are not happy with, it's merely there to be that reflection to show you the work that you need to do within. So to manifest, what came through was be open, be clear, be open, be in flow, and be grounded. And so be clear on what it is. That you are currently manifesting. So be clear on yourself as an energetic being and that you're doing it now. Be clear on the energy that you are sending out. And be clear on what it is that you actually want to manifest. Because one of the things, and we've all done it, I've done it, we send out this intention of something we want to manifest. But like you say, there's limiting beliefs. All the stuff that's in the subconscious that goes against that intention that we've sent out. Say I sent out, I want to, I am open to receiving unlimited financial prosperity. Great intention, lovely. So I send that out into the field, and yet I've been brought up to believe that money doesn't grow on trees. I've been brought up to believe that life is to be endured, not enjoyed. I've been brought up to believe 1,000,001 other things that you have literally forgotten. You didn't even know that you've been taught. The instant you send something like that out, all of those millions and millions of other thoughts follow it. And of course, the universe is like, oh, okay, I've got this oh my God, I've got all these intentions. Because you've just sent out this really clear intention of what you want and then negated it completely with contradictory beliefs. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. It can't happen to me. Whatever, I mean, we're full of them, literally full of them. And so it really is about being clear. And that means doing the work to clear all this rubbish out of your system. Because when you came into your physical body, you didn't come in as a baby going, does my bum look big in this nappy?
I love that.
That is something that we learned.
Yes.
We learned to believe about ourselves that we don't look good enough or whatever it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it is about doing that work to clear out all the trapped and suppressed emotions that we've never allowed ourselves to express, because that's our truth. To clear out all those limiting beliefs that we've just picked up along the way that aren't ours, and then be open to actually receive that which you've requested. Be open to hear that inner guidance that says, this feels exciting, do this. And then allow yourself to be in flow, go with the flow and don't push against the tide or hang on to the side when it's dragging you downstream.
Yeah, it's interesting how when something's flowing and it's going easily and you look at it like that's no big deal. It's not special or whatever. But those are some of our gifts that are coming out that's allowing your life to be in this beautiful flow. And we don't even pay attention because we just take it for granted. But it's actually it's a gift. And now that we're aware, now we're becoming more present in our bodies, and we're becoming very aware that we're co-creators or we're creators of our reality, that our thoughts are manifesting anything we want. Whatever you think, it could show up. So be very, very careful of what you're thinking. Be very conscious of your thoughts. So if you're thinking a thought and you say, oh, I don't really like that idea, then change it right away and go in another direction, because that will manifest. And if you let it fly into the ethers, it's going out to tell the universe, this is what you want. So that's what the universe brings you. It brings it back and brings it to you, because it's here to please, it's here to help us. It's here to bring us what we need to do in the earth, what we want, what we choose to do, because we have free will. And it's interesting. So it's in a miraculous time. So many people are awakening, and now they're awakening fast. I mean, I have to be grateful. I've been doing this for 20 years or so. Probably, I don't know how long you've been doing it, but I know at least 20, maybe more now, but 25 even, and it's taken me this long to get to where I'm at, People now are just, boom, they're getting slammed. So they're really getting opened up, like, all right, I'm awake. And this is how they say it's going to happen. Like 1 minute you go to sleep, you wake up and go, oh my gosh, I'm not who I thought I was. I am this creator, powerful being. And, oh, I am doing this. I am this. I can do anything I want. I have to make a decision now. What do I want? And this is where we're at. So what do you see that we manifested during this whole pandemic crazy situation going on? How do you see humanity manifested this? And where do you think it could go?
How did we manifest it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've manifested it by just what we said, by living. Okay, so from an energetic perspective, if you imagine that we are incredibly high vibrational beings, okay, and if those of you out there haven't got to that point of understanding and knowing that to be yourself, this is okay, but we are beings who exist in all kinds of different frequency. The lowest frequency that we currently exist in is this physical body, this physical form. And the earth used to vibrate at 7 to 9 hertz. And that's what we call the third dimension. And so our lowest frequency can't be any different to the earth's frequency, because it's the physical plane that we exist upon. So that's the lowest frequency that we're at. But just like with light, you've got visible light and you've got ultraviolet, you've got infrared, you've got light that cannot be seen with the naked eye. We extend throughout our emotional, mental, physical, spiritual bodies to varying frequencies. And so our frequency at its highest point is the same frequency as source, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, the all that is. And so what's happened is that around the earth, there were layers and layers that were blocking the light coming from source. But since 1987 till 2012, those layers have been taken off. They've been dissolved away. And so now we're getting pure source light hitting the planet through our sun. And that's why people have started this accelerated process of wakening up, because the Earth's frequency has shifted. I mean, if you know anything about the Schumann's resonance, it used to be 7 to 9 hertz, constant, standard. I mean, it's been spiking to like 100 hertz, all sorts of things. I mean, the Earth's frequency is shifting. We can no longer be at 7 to 9 hertz. To be in resonance with the physical plane that we're existing upon, we have to raise our vibration. And that's why people's journeys are accelerating so much. But it's also why this global event happened, because it needed something to
accelerate us,
to enable us to accelerate, but to enable us to be in that bubble, that pause point, to have that awakening experience. Now, whether you're awakening to the conspiracy theories or an agenda or something, it doesn't matter.
Right.
The fact is, Your perfect journey will give you the perfect thing to trigger you into waking up to, I am more than what I thought I was 2 months ago.
Mm.
There is more to life than what I thought there was 2 months ago.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
You know,
Yeah.
however that journey looks for you,
Mm.
you know, whether it is that your loved ones have passed away. I mean, that again, for me, death again is a beautiful reminder of we've got to live life. You know, whether you believe that this is the only life you have or whether you believe you're going to reincarnate, it doesn't matter.
Mm.
What is the point of living a half life? What is the point of numbing yourself or being on the treadmill or, you know, not having joy in your life if this is the only life you have? My God, if I thought this was the only life I had, I would be living it to the max.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, it's all about that. And that for me was, my dad was in the Air Force. He had a fairly miserable life. He was a fairly miserable person. He had a lot of anger issues and things like this. And then he was always thinking, when I retire, when I retire, when I
Yes.
retire,
I was just thinking that retiring. That
when
was
I
the old
retire,
waiting for. Yes.
I'm going to do this. When I retire, we're going
Yeah.
to get a holiday cottage or we're going to travel the world or
Yeah.
whatever. He came to kind of retirement age. He got really ill. He got really ill because of the life he'd led.
Sure.
And his retirement was, my mum got Alzheimer's at the age of 63.
Oh, wow.
He had loads of physical illnesses because of all the anger and everything that he'd stored up within himself. He ended up dying of cancer. So their retirement was spent in nursing homes and hospitals. So don't put off,
Yes.
was what I learned.
So
Don't
much
put off
agreement.
till
Yeah.
tomorrow your joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Live your joy now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because, you know, whether it's going
Powerful.
to be a virus, whether it's going to be a meteor, whether it's going to be being hit by a bus tomorrow. And that was my lesson, falling down the stairs. You know, it can be something so mundane and silly that takes us out of this life. Do you want to end your life looking back and going, oh, I wish I did that instead of that? Or do you want to look back and go, yeah, do you know what? It wasn't as long as I thought, but hey,
It was a good
I
one.
enjoyed it. I had a ride.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in so much agreement with that. I was just thinking about the retirement, the old thinking, like our parents thinking was, let's just wait till we retire. We'll retire. It's like they were waiting to live after they retired. And
Yeah.
that's not living. And we're learning that now. I mean, we've all opened up to just, you know, so many of my friends have, you know, they all travel, they all do things that, you know, I love to travel. My husband and I have lived all over the world. And that was before children. But then when we came here, I wanted roots, so we didn't go anymore. He would have kept going. And I know it probably could have been good. I don't know, but I chose not to. I wanted to just give them some roots. And you know, so these other couples have all done a ton of things, and three of them have lost their spouses already, and this is in the early 60s, and this was just like all in the last 2-3 years. And it's like, really. And I always say to them, you know, the one thing you can look at your life is that you did so many good things together. You didn't wait to live. You didn't wait. You were doing it every single year, every single time you were doing things. You were connecting with your family. You were going on trips together, not just the family, but themselves, just taking themselves, like, let's go to Scotland and go to the famous bagpiping event. What's it called? The Tattoo or something?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And this person had Scottish heritage, so they went. And it was magnificent, and they said it was like one of the best things, and he learned all about his heritage. Well, he's passed this year in 1 month after being diagnosed. No one could have seen that coming in a million years. And bless you, as I talk about my dear friend who's just passed a month ago. And you know, so that's a hard one. That's a hard one when you know, when that happens so quickly. Like, everyone's going through that if you've had lost someone through the pandemic. His wasn't that reason, but it was just his own, you know, illness. He was holding a lot in too, possibly, you know. And I don't know for sure, but possibly. But you know, It's just, we can't wait. We can't wait to live. We have to live now. We have to be in our joy now. That's why we're saying live in your joy now. Be enjoying what you're doing. Be in the passion. That's why we've stepped into it. We got there. We finally got there. So we're living in the joy. Sometimes it's scary, but we do it anyway.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, there was that book ages ago, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. But
Uh-huh.
also, it's like the only moment is now.
It
You know, the
is
past, the past is gone. Yesterday's gone. That's a memory, and tomorrow hasn't happened yet. So that's just a theory.
living
So
in the
you know,
now.
this moment is really the only moment that actually exists.
Yeah. And it's so true. I mean, I remember when it finally cemented into my mind that how important it is to live in the moment, to
Mm.
be conscious of every moment, because every moment is all you have.
Yeah.
It's all you have. That is the gift. That's the present. I love when they say that's the present, that's the gift. I remember hearing that years ago, but it's
Yeah.
still so true. And it's even more relevant right now, because live the moment,
No,
because we don't know.
absolutely.
We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Nobody knows. We don't know what's going to happen next year yet. We can think about it. I mean, and I was going to ask you, do you have a message about what you think is going to happen for the end of 2020 or going into 2021? Anything, any thoughts, anything that I know you channel too, you channel source energy, anything
Yeah.
that you've gotten. Yeah.
I mean, it's like a lot of channels. We knew something big was coming. We didn't know what exactly it was going to look like, but we knew something big was coming. You know, the big awakening, the event. People talk about the event. Well, the event is this. The event is us. We
Yeah.
are the event. It's now. And so I see this kind of. I know that 2023, 24, something big.
Yeah, I just heard that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, they don't tell me what it is because that's the beauty. That is
Yeah.
the
We're
beauty
not
of
supposed to know. We're not supposed to
no.
know.
Everybody I mean, your ego will want to know because
Oh,
it's
yeah,
scared of the
of
unknown.
course. Yeah.
And when you go on this journey and you start this journey and you start actually living your life, listening to your inner authority, your inner guidance,
Mm.
you want it to lay the whole path. You know, take 2 steps to the right, take a left turn, go straight ahead for 5 paces, and you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all about the destination, the end point. But
Mm.
Spirit told me a long time ago, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey itself. That's what
Mm.
we came for. And so it's about enjoying the journey. Don't get so caught up on the end goal. So I never get told exactly what's going to happen, but I know something big is going to happen.
Exciting.
So going into the end of 2020 and 21 up to 23, I think whatever perfect journey everybody needs, and again, it's going to be an individual one,
Yeah.
for them to awaken.
Mm.
Because we talk about the age of Aquarius, we talk about the coming into the golden age, and we're stepping out of the age that we've been in into this new age. It's not going to happen overnight.
Oh gosh,
I mean,
no.
I may never see it in my lifetime.
Oh, I
However,
do.
we may never see where we are. Our physical body has shifted and changes to be a more crystalline light body
Yeah.
where,
Okay.
we're manifesting
Right.
physically like £1,000,000, please, boom, it's there. We may
Yeah.
never see
No,
that in
no,
this
that may not
lifetime,
be that right. No.
but we're going to see the transitional shifts that
Mm.
take the collective. And when I say collective, I mean everybody on the planet on that journey to doing that. And so again, there's going to be some events coming up, whether they are truths coming to light, whether
Mm.
that's what's going to awaken some people, whether it's incidents that occur that's going to awaken other people. It's going to be something that matches everybody's individual journey, so it will be perfect for them.
Mm.
But there is going to be more and more of this, because what the call is, what the clarion call is to come into right relationship with your truth,
Mm.
with your power.
Yeah.
In a way, it's shifting from childhood into adulthood, being your own authority, not needing something outside of yourself to tell you that you're okay, that you should be doing this, that you should look like that, that this is right and that is wrong. It's coming into that relationship with yourself that you absolutely trust and know what is bringing you joy in each moment, and therefore that's your truth.
Mm-hmm.
And having that ability to discern, yeah, I agree with this, or I feel into this, or some of that is okay, but actually I'm going to disregard the rest.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
I don't know if you
Absolutely.
had it in America, but in England we used to have a shop called Woolworths. It closed
Oh
down.
yeah. Oh sure we did. It was like a 5 and 10. We call it the 5 and 10 cent store. Yeah.
Yeah, and they used to have a pick and mix sweet department.
Ah, okay. I don't
And
remember that.
well,
Was it?
the pick and mix was literally that you didn't have to buy a bag of this and a bag of that. They were all there, and you could say, I can have 3 of them, I'll have 1 of that, and I'll have 4 of
Oh,
those.
was this
And there were
candy
some,
or just anything?
yeah, sweets,
Sweet.
candy.
Okay.
And the fact was that this whole smorgasbord of selection options, there were going to be some that you didn't like.
Right. Right.
And there were going to be some that were your favorites. And there were going to be some in the middle that were kind of like, some days I like this, some days I don't.
Yeah.
But that's what life is.
Mm.
It's about that ability to, like a child stood in front of that sweet counter and going, oh yeah, I really like those. Oh, I hate those. Nah. And
Yeah.
that's what we're being called to do.
Mm.
To come into our own alignment with our truth, not your truth, because your truth will be slightly different to mine. Because your experiences of life have been slightly different to mine. The ultimate truth of we are more than this physical form, yeah, that's within all of us. But there are so many other truths that make us who we are as individuals. And it's about honoring those and not needing something or somebody outside of us to say what our truth is.
Yes. Yes. And that's what you mean by sovereignty too, isn't it?
That's what I mean by standing in your sovereignty. Yeah. Standing in your truth, standing in your power. Loads of people have an issue with the word power. I know I did, because we think it's power over, because that's really all we've experienced.
It's a vague understanding if you don't know the spiritual look at it. You can't look at it from the spiritual perspective. Yeah.
And also sovereignty, monarchy, wealthy, power over another. But it's not at all. Sovereignty is being self-full. Sovereignty is not selfish, it's not selfless. It's allowing your needs to be met so that you can meet the needs of others.
Yeah, I call it self-love. When you learn to love yourself and you learn to really appreciate all the good and bad parts of you and don't judge it anymore. Let go of it. I mean, we needed them obviously to make us who we are. It helped us on this journey. And that's when the shadows turn into the gifts. And so that's part of, really owning who you are. Like I call that owning your divine light. That's my name, my show name, and all my other things. But you call it, mundane to magical.
Standing in your sovereignty, mundane, yeah. But it's about
standing in your sovereignty. Yes.
You are all of those things. And none of them are good, bad, right, wrong, because good, bad, right, wrong is also dimensional constructs where judgment is. We're judging something. When you've raised your vibration to what people call fifth dimension and above, you understand there is no good, bad, right, wrong. It just is.
Right.
An experience is an experience. There's no judgment of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So anger is an emotion. But in a certain situation, it's the absolute right emotion to be expressing. It's not good, it's not bad. And so it's about understanding yourself as that whole entity where all your emotions are yours. And therefore they're your truth. And all your thoughts are yours. But it's about making sure that they really are yours, and it's not just the voice of the past that you've picked up, like does my bum look big in this? Did I come into existence with this belief?
Yeah, really. Isn't that incredible to think a baby would even think such a thing? That's not even in their realm. And I have a 9-month-old grandson, so I'm looking at him going, oh my gosh, no, he could never look at that. He's trying to figure out what this is in front of him, and what is this little thing I'm doing, and what can I do with this, and how do I use this? And he can grab his dog's hair now, and he can do all these fun things, and he's really figuring. And yesterday my son had a video for us, and he sent it, and he's using his voice, and he's going, ah, and he's not saying anything, but he's using this voice because now he's learning that he has all this power in him he didn't know about, you know. So it's power that's your sovereign power. It's your who you are. It's not anything but who you are, you know. It's kind of fascinating
Absolutely.
when you look at a child at this point of our lives and you look at them and you can really see the growth of a little human. It's just amazing to watch. It's powerful.
But it's
And
also
that's who we are.
yeah, it's allowing us
Yeah.
to get back into that state of the magical child where we looked at
Mm-hmm.
everything with wonder and curiosity and excitement because
Mm-hmm.
we didn't judge it. You know, we used
Yeah.
to run out and play in the rain in our wellies, and it was fabulous. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't
Mm-hmm.
judge the rain as good or bad. It just was, and
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
great in that moment. It was fun. So it
Exactly.
is about allowing yourself to go back into the energy of that magical child and look at the world through those wondrous eyes.
Yeah, yeah, powerful. Oh, that was beautiful. This was so much fun. And I know you have a gift. You have some gifts to tell us about. Can you just give us a quick little rundown? Because I know we're gone over a few, and we're going to end this any minute now. All right. So I'd
Yeah,
love you to share, please.
so there's a couple of free gifts. I channeled a lot about manifesting during this lockdown, and so there's a light encoded activation, which is a guided journey to help you release your negativity, restore your divine harmonic, and manifest your soul's desires. So that's part of the free gift. So you get that and a PDF, which explains the 4 steps, so that you know
Thank you.
you've got that and you can work through that as deeply or as superficially as you choose. But those are the gifts, the free gifts that I've got, and they were channeled directly from source. And the feedback has been that the activation is actually really, really powerful. Because when I did the free masterclass the other week, the feedback was that people have experienced some real shifts. So what I will say is,
Fantastic.
you know, when we're releasing energy from our system, we then sometimes release it on a physical level. So just be gentle with yourself over the next few days after you've listened to the activation. You know, you may find yourself purging on a physical or emotional way. It depends, everybody's different, but I would just say that it has been quite a powerful activation. And then the special offer is a reduced price on a session with me, on a one-to-one session with me. So it's an hour's session. I think it's $97, the reduced price.
So beautiful. That is a beautiful gift. And yeah, everyone, if you do whichever one you take or both, the it sounds like just give yourself some time after that exercise that like Louise said, give yourself that time to just don't go far from home. Give yourself this beauty of this time you have. So thank you, Louise, so much for owning your divine light and stepping into your sovereignty, it's just so beautiful to see you metamorphosize from everywhere we've been. And we've seen each other grow in so many ways, and the support you're giving to humanity in accelerating their divine light, as I call it, and through unlocking their passions, igniting their authenticities, and finally creating the lives they love. So thank you. Thank you. This was such a beautiful, powerful, great talk. And I'm Janet Miller, and I will see you on the next episode.